Michael, thank you very much. The NBA playoffs move west, arguably where they belong, to a deafening roar at Arco Arena. First game of this best-of-5 game series in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs between the visiting Phoenix Suns and the home-standing Sacramento Kings. Hi again, everybody, and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Paul Sunderland, joined by Matt Gukas. We'll hear from Fran Charles in just a little while. It's been an incredible season for Sacramento. They've led the NBA in scoring. They've set records for most wins in a season, most wins here at home. But how do they continue that sort of pace now that it really matters?
Well, Paul, the Sacramento Kings are loaded with firepower, and they give you all kinds of flash and dash. Now, they led the league in steals, and that gets the running game going, where Jason Williams is a magician. And keep your eye on the many talents of a budding star in Peja Stojakovic. And when the ball and the players are moving fluidly, it is a pretty picture. They are a fabulous passing team. And these three Kings put up a lot of numbers. Chris Webber, 6th best scorer, 7th in rebounding in the NBA. Peja Stojakovic, not only a great three-point shooter at 40%, but he will drive it as well. And the clever Vlade Divac having his way with the Sun centers this year, scoring over 20 a game. Now, no longer is it style over substance for the Sacramento Kings. The reason why they have home court in this first round, they are a dramatically improved defensive team.
Last time I checked, however, there were 4 Kings in a deck of cards. We'll see which other King gets into the mix offensively and defensively. For the Phoenix Suns, they have very quietly put up the best record in the NBA since March 20th. The Lakers, these Kings, the Portland Trail Blazers getting most of the highlights. But how do they turn things around after losing the season series 3-1 and maybe steal one in this first meeting?
Well, first of all, Jason Kidd is the best point guard in the league, and Sean Marion is blossoming very, very quickly. Talk about a couple of guys on the same wavelength. Kidd delivers above the rim, where Marion soars on the cut, any nook and cranny. But here's why the Phoenix Suns won 51 games and are dangerous in this series. Not only do they create havoc with aggressive defense, they capitalize with easy baskets. Now, this is a 3-6 matchup, but these teams are much, much closer than that. The big advantage today, this building and this wildly enthusiastic crowd.
Just take a second and listen. This place is absolutely rocking. No wonder the Sacramento Kings were 33-8 here during this past regular season. But all that is history. Now it is time for the playoffs. When we come back to Arco, we'll have the starting lineups and the tip. A great second-year man out of UNLV, Sean Marion, and then the backcourt featuring Jason Kidd. And the 3-time NBA champion, Mario Elie, for the Sacramento Kings. Chris Webber and Peja Stojakovic up front. They combine for nearly 50 points a game, and Vlade Divac is averaging 20 points a game, as you saw, against the Phoenix Suns. Doug Christie, incredible changes he has made with this team at the defensive end. And Jason Williams, and Rick Adelman telling us about Jason Williams. He's got to take less threes, more twos. The head coaches, Scott Skiles in his first full season for Phoenix, Rick Adelman in his 3rd season as head coach of the Sacramento Kings, his 11th overall as an NBA head coach, and there is Scott Skiles. Strategically, a lot of questions to be answered. A decided disadvantage for Scott Skiles and his Phoenix Suns inside. Well, we have a moment. Let's go over to our sideline reporter for today, Fran Charles. Fran?
All right, Paul. Well, one star you won't see in a Phoenix Suns uniform is Penny Hardaway. He played in just 4 regular season games this year because of a left knee injury. He did practice 2 times out of the last 8 days, but Tony Delk told me before the game that Hardaway felt he'd be too much of a defensive liability, so he elected to keep himself off the playoff roster. As for this electric crowd here in Arco Arena, the 79th straight sellout, Phoenix Suns head coach Scott Skiles actually tried to simulate the crowd noise in practice last week. I talked to Kings guard Bobby Jackson before the game, and he said, we have a tendency to relax when we're at home because of the home crowd. We need to turn it up a notch for the playoffs. Paul?
All right, Fran, thank you very much. Scott Skiles blasting that very small practice facility in Phoenix, and Sean Marion asked for a little R&B, a little hip-hop. That wasn't Scott's style.
Well, as much as players and coaches like to say loud buildings don't bother them, they're professionals, they will admit this one does. This is the loudest in the league, and the big thing that Scott Skiles is worried about, that when Sacramento goes on one of their runs, 8-0, 10-2, something like that, that his team keeps their composure and does not try to get it all back in 1 or 2 possessions.
Because those runs will come. Jake Socolides, the rookie out of Greece, steals the opening tip. Phoenix in their road purple, Sacramento in their home standing white uniforms. Cliff Robinson commits the first turnover of the game, looking for Socolides. And Williams, much to the disdain, I would imagine, of Rick Adelman, taking an immediate opening three-point shot.
Well, Jason Williams did tell Grant Charles before the game that he is going to look for that three-point shot because he knows how it elevates his game, elevates his teammates, and absolutely the roof blows off here with the crowd. Now, last year, he shot it terribly, around 28%. He has taken less this year and consequently shooting it a little bit better at 31%, but that's not nearly good enough.
Shot 505 last year, down to 311 this season. Robinson over Weber, that rattles out. Sacramento's Vlade Divac controls the rebound.
Well, the Phoenix Suns do not have much of a low post game. Actually, Jason Kidd is their best post player. Cliff Robinson is much more comfortable on the perimeter, yet on the first two possessions, they've gone inside to him, presumably to try to get Chris Webber in foul trouble.
The area that concerned Scott Skiles the most, the low post play of Vlade Divac and Chris Webber. Vlade with the early two.
Well, Vlade's averaging over 20 a game in the 4 games played during this regular season. There's an illegal pick set by Cliff Robinson. And what Phoenix likes to do in the low post is front it. And what you do in that case, you got to make sure you put good pressure on the ball and have weak side help. Scott Skiles doesn't feel his team double teams and rotates well enough to do that.
Williams again for three and gets the second to fall. He's shooting 50%.
So guess what? Next time in transition, he's going to fire away again. And, Rick Adelman does not want to rein this young guy in. He has done it to a degree, and it's improved him and his team. But he knows he needs his emotion. He needs production from him while he's out on the floor because he makes people move.
Sean Marion with the basket and the foul, and one of the most compelling matchups in this series, as long as it goes, will be Peja Stojakovic emerging as a star in this league. And Sean Marion, you could certainly say the same.
Well, both are candidates for most improved player in the league this year, both very young. Also, Tracy McGrady, a big part of that mix. And Sean Marion, he knows he has his hands full with Stojakovic, who is not just a long-range bomber. He has really worked on putting the ball on the floor, taking it to the basket, so he makes sure he gets to the free throw line, as all good scorers do.
Inside to Weber, isolated against Cliff Robinson. Rebound taken by Sean Marion. Incredible the number of rebounds that he takes at only 6'7", and more remarkably, only 215 pounds.
7th best in the league, and that's remarkable. Now, he gets a lot of them because the rest of the Suns, other than Jason Kidd, are not good rebounders, so there's plenty to be had.
Good look by Cliff Robinson from the outside, tied at 5, an early three for Robinson. Vlade Divac spins inside, and the foul is called against the rookie Socolides. Outside shooting so important for Phoenix because they have no inside pressure.
Well, on the first couple of possessions going inside to Cliff Robinson, where he's really not very comfortable. This is where he likes to be, out on the perimeter. He's a good three-point shooter, one of only a couple. Mario Elie, the other one, as the Phoenix Suns' second worst three-point shooting team in the league, and that hurts them.
Free throw is good by Vlade Divac. The Phoenix Suns, under Scott Skiles, shot only 31.5% on the season. Only the Golden State Warriors were worse last year. They were 9th at 36.7%, so clearly have dropped off. Vlade Divac, the free throws are good, and the early lead to Sacramento by 2.
Now you see a matchup defensively. Doug Christie, an outstanding defensive player, guarding Jason Kidd. Now Kidd's big at about close to 6'4". Christie's about 6'7". He cuts down on angles for Kidd and takes away his post-up game.
Christie now on Robinson on the switch, steps through inside, and Christie called for the blocking foul down inside his first personal. Cliff Robinson will get to the free throw line.
That's a smart play there by Jason Kidd, getting the switch on the little two-man game. And of course, Jason Kidd over the last 20-25 games has been looking to score more. He showed a lot of patience in here, going to the mismatch inside. The bigger Cliff Robinson against Doug Christie.
Cliff Robinson, now 34 years of age, his 12th season in the playoffs. His career scoring average 16.2. His playoff scoring average for his career only 11.0, but was superb last year against both San Antonio and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Jasons pushing it at one another. Jason Williams pulls up quickly. And Rick Adelman on the sidelines just rolls his eyes at that shot selection.
Well, actually, Jason Williams got inside the three-point line. I don't think he realized it, but he's so wired right now, playing a little bit out of control.
Cliff Robinson bangs the wide-open 20-footer off the back of the glass. Veteran teams for the most part, but both of them playing fairly tight. Rattles in for Chris Webber, sporting a new and very clean look for the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, yesterday, I should say, not last year. Yesterday, he had a full head of hair, so something happened in the interim. I do not think he went to Scott Pollard's barber, however.
Sakalides inside, can't convert it, comes away with the offensive rebound. Back up again, another brick controlled by Vlade Divac. And Mario Elie flattens Divac in the backcourt. Well, Sakalides is just not going to get a call unless he gets hammered inside. He's got to be much stronger with the ball.
Scott Skiles is just hoping to get a little bit from Big Jake, just a 21-year-old rookie. Wants him to take up space in the lane. He knows that Vlade Divac has a huge advantage against him. Here, just footwork terrible here as Divac forces him off balance, and then a hard hack by Mario Elie, and then a hard foul just to get involved in the game. Mario Elie doesn't get too many touches or shots. He's got to make his presence felt defensively and with his physical play.
Very much one of the leaders on this team, along with Cliff Robinson. And Stojakovic steps back right in the face of Sean Marion. Same matchup at the other end. Marion using his quickness. Block is called inside on Vlade Divac.
Another smart play at the offensive end by Jason Kidd. First of all, Peja Stojakovic eyeball to eyeball with Sean Marion. Marion actually doing a very good job shading him, forcing Peja to his left, where he's a little bit less effective, still very good. But at the other end, Kidd wisely coming back to Sean Marion so he doesn't get a little bit down on himself. Don't forget, he's a very young player, didn't play that many games last year, giving him an opportunity to take it at Stojakovic.
The Suns struggling mightily at the free throw line so far. Sean Marion makes one of two, and Sacramento's lead is 11-7. Stepping back, Peja Stojakovic, air ball there, and Mario Elie looking to push it. Marion, the quick trigger once again. Good offensive rebound, something that the Sacramento Kings were very concerned about. Doug Christie pushing it. Williams thought about it, steps inside, looked like he had a layup, kicks out to Doug Christie for the triple.
That's what Rick Adelman wants from Jason Williams. Instead of looking for his own offense all the time, do what he really does best. Create havoc by penetrating, getting in the lane a little bit, drawing defenders, find open shooters.
Jason Kidd from along the baseline, his first basket of the afternoon. The lead is 14-9 for Sacramento.
And Jason Kidd, I think, realizes right now he's gone to Marion, he's gone to Cliff Robinson a little bit. He has to start looking more and more for his offense, which he has done the last 20 games of this regular season.
Stojakovic blocked by Sakalides, and the Suns looking to run once again. Sean Marion taking the ball to the basket. I think the pace is a little bit quick here. The Kentucky Derby isn't for a little while, but these two teams getting warmed up.
Well, both of these teams want to make sure they take care of the ball. They know they can get out in the open floor, but both teams good defensively in forcing turnovers.
Good screen by Jason Williams, freeing up Peja Stojakovic. The three from Peja Stojakovic. Marion along the baseline unguarded, and the two key components getting a lot of wide open looks, something that we were told by both coaches would absolutely not happen.
Well, they're both trying to work each other over as it's almost become a one-on-one game as they're both trying to prove something to one another.
Mario Elie running out, give the assist to Jason Kidd, who led the NBA in assists for the third straight season.
We talked a little bit about the improvement of the Kings, certainly in the standings, going from 44 wins to 55 because of their defense. But if they've got a major weakness, it's in transition defense. They don't get back, and that is death against a point guard like Jason Kidd, who finds people.
An errant pass by Doug Christie. Chris Webber going back door. We talked to both coaches and players. We talked about tempo in this game, and neither one of them wanted to admit that they were going to slow it down. And Peja Stojakovic off to a very, very good and solid start for the Sacramento Kings. And Mario Ellie clearly in a leadership role now. Thought he'd only play maybe 10, 15 minutes all season long. He's starting and playing big time for the Phoenix Suns. We'll be right back to Sacramento after this. Sacramento, Jason Williams leading the Kings out to the narrowest of leads so far, and finally getting in the book against the Phoenix Suns.
Well, he came out launching, did hit a three a little bit earlier, and that drew the defender, Mario Ellie, out towards him. They got the little cross match going. Ellie doesn't really have the foot speed to stay with the Jason Williams. So Williams, with that penetration, able to draw defenders, and that's what Rick Adelman wants. He knows he's not going to get tough, hard-nosed defense from Jason Williams. It's a lot better than it was. So he's got to get offensive production, not only scoring, but making sure he delivers the ball.
Rodney Rogers, last year's Sixth Man of the Year in the NBA, in for Jake Sakalides inside. Jason Kidd over Doug Christie. Good closeout defensively, and Weber controls the rebound.
The smaller lineup now for the Phoenix Suns could have a little bit of problem inside with the taller Divac and Chris Weber, but at the other end of the floor, both Robinson and Rogers can take those big guys away from the basket and give them fits. Something Rick Adelman was worried about coming into this game and worried about all season long when these two teams met.
Chris Weber stepping back for his patented shot at the left elbow, comes up a little short. Jason Kidd trying it once again, and do you see him as an improved shooter? He doesn't shoot for a good percentage, and he gives the ball up a lot, but does he have confidence this year in his ability to knock?
Well, over the last 21 games, he's averaged just close to 22 points a game, which is a little bit different for Jason Kidd. He's averaged 17 overall, but his teammates have asked him to be more offensive-minded, and he has. When you know you're expected to shoot the ball, you shoot with more confidence.
Chris Weber with his 4th point of the afternoon on the tip-in of his own miss inside. Phoenix going small. What advantages does this give them at the offensive end?
Well, their big guys can go outside, not like that, where Robinson and Rogers usually camp out to try to take Divac and Weber away from the basket there. Another shortcoming for the Sacramento Kings. They're a little bit lazy on the defensive board, as the Suns have proved all season long. They can get to the glass on it.
Chris Weber called for the charge down on the block, and Rick Adelman and the Kings just pounding the ball down inside against this smaller lineup.
You know, and I don't know about you, Paul, but Chris Weber looks different to me. They want him to be active. He does not look that sharp with his footwork. He's been bothered by a bad ankle. He will not use it as an excuse or complain about it, but it's not a typical Chris Weber hard, crisp move inside. He's not a particularly good low-post player to begin with. He pretty much has that little jump hook in the lane, feels much more comfortable away from the basket where he can shoot or drive if you get up on him.
Rogers taking Chris Weber easily off the dribble, and Rodney Rogers quickly into the game for the Phoenix Suns with 2 buckets.
Now there's that lack of foot movement on the part of Chris Weber, not moving his feet at all, standing straight up in a very unathletic position, and Rodney Rogers just blowing right by.
Phoenix has taken the 21-19 lead, and part of that lack of foot speed, probably the ankle. The left one severely sprained, bothering.
You know, Weber just really can't move, and it's much more difficult when you don't bend your knees and get a low base, so you can make a quick move and react to that first step.
Tom Gugliotta and Tony Delk also in now for the Phoenix Suns. Gugliotta taking his turn on Weber. And just as you said, much prefers to step out on the floor.
Yeah, so a lot of that going inside, they like to give that a little show. But eventually, Chris Weber is going to gravitate to the perimeter where he feels more comfortable. He's not going to get double-teamed out there, and he is an outstanding outside shooter.
Another offensive rebound taken by the Phoenix Suns. Sean Marion can't finish. Ball batted up around the basket. Here come the Kings. Stojakovic been very aggressive offensively against Sean Marion. Good kick out to Weber, misses that one badly, and Marion get another rebound.
Now this is why the Phoenix Suns have improved defensively. They play situations very well. They're very well prepared. Once again, forcing Stojakovic to the left, to the middle where they can get some help and make him give up the basketball and the crowd as much as possible after that.
Rodney Rogers finding lots of room trying to draw Vlade Divac out. Comes away with a miss, and Jason Williams at the control still for Sacramento. Stojakovic on the baseline. Good feed from Vlade Divac. And once again, the Phoenix Suns looking to push the tempo. Jason Kidd into the lane with a little leaner and gets the roll. Sacramento, a good running team, is not very good at defending against teams that like to run. Jason Williams taking another long three-point shot, and Rick Adelman.
Frustrated sigh over there.
Oh, Rick Adelman is beside himself.
A couple of these Sacramento Kings are gassed right now. In particular, Vlade Divac. He's really laboring to get up and down the floor, especially in getting back on defense. He's kind of looking for a place to fall down or sit down or lie down.
Well, the tempo, I think, was due in large part to this incredible crowd at the beginning of the game and the first game of the playoff series. Weber stepping back, misses that one again. But this incredibly track meet pace has slowed down, at least momentarily. Tony buckets among his teammates, his first two. Remember, he had an arena record 53 against his old team earlier in the season. Doug Christie loses control inside, gets his own rebound, and will get to the free throw line. Jason Kidd, Scott Skiles told us yesterday, it is all up to him. It is in his hands how we do in the playoffs.
Well, Jason Kidd is not tired. He can force the tempo whenever he wants, taking advantage of the bad transition defense on the Sacramento Kings, getting all the way in, and this time delivering the ball to Tony Buckets, as you call him. Usually it's no assists, no layups, but he gets an easy one there, and Phoenix has taken a 4-point lead.
8 run and some poor shooting of late by the Sacramento Kings. The Phoenix Suns have taken a 25-21 lead, and a couple of pretty good forwards in the NBA are doing their part in the beginning of this game.
Well, Chris Webber does not look as active as I'm sure Rick Adelman was hoping for this first game.
Rick telling us yesterday that that's how he would judge Chris Webber. His activity, his determination, his tenacity going after the basketball. And we talked to him about an hour and a half ago, and I asked him point blank if he was 100% coming into the playoffs. And he hedged a little bit, I think, in all honesty. He said, I have to be, don't I? But clearly he is not after missing 12 games with a severely sprained ankle, not once but twice this season. Free throws are good by Doug Christie. The lead is 2. Rodney Rogers powering down inside, and the foul was either on Hedo Turkoglu, just into the game, the fine rookie out of Turkey, or Scott Pollard. It is called on Scott Pollard, who has nothing in common, as you mentioned, with the barber of Chris Webber. More on that a little bit later. Rodney Rogers getting to the free throw line, where the Suns have struggled just a little bit. Now be sure and log on to NBA.com after each playoff game for live coverage of the post-game press conferences, and send in your questions to NBA.com commentators, including New York's Mark Jackson and Dallas's Steve Nash. It's all on NBA.com, and so many games to talk about. What a day yesterday. Starting in Philadelphia, Reggie's big shot, and then moving on to Utah. John Stockton making a veteran play at the end.
All the lower seeds today have to be kind of shaking their head a little bit. They're not going to be able to sneak up on anybody, as all the higher seeds, watching those games, reading about them, know that they have to be ready in the relatively short 5-game series, because you can lose that home court very, very quickly.
Christie turns it over, and Rodney Rogers throws it down. Rogers, a heavily taped right thumb. He sprained that the last week of the regular season against the Los Angeles Clippers. It is not his shooting hand.
Well, the quick strike capability of the Phoenix Suns really taking advantage of slow transition, and it's just so difficult to corral Jason Kidd in the open floor.
Webber against Rodney Rogers, and seemingly can get that little jump hook turning to his left whenever he wants it. Webber now with 8, leading the Sacramento Kings. Rodney Rogers doubled, and Tom Gugliotta. Offensive rebound taken by Sakalides once again inside. Scott Pollard able to strip him down low, and Sakalides again with another chance for an easy putback, comes away empty.
Well, in the transition, Jason Kidd spotted the mismatch right away. Turkoglu is guarding Rodney Rogers. They're both about the same height, but Rogers much, much stronger than Hedo inside.
Turkoglu weighing about 215, 220. Rodney Rogers probably about 260 this time of year. Quarter winding down. The shot clock is off. 5 on the game clock. Jason Kidd stepping back for 3. And good clock management, not something we have seen so far in the playoffs. Jason Kidd taking the last shot as time in the first quarter winds down. And Phoenix, after trailing early 13-7, comes away at the end of the first 12 minutes with a 3-point lead, 28-25. And once again, Phoenix creating turnovers. Jason Kidd leading out the way, and Rodney Rogers along with the rest of the group off the Phoenix Suns. A good comeback, but we're just getting started here in Sacramento. White, the Sacramento Kings trailing by 3. Let's send it over to Fran Charles and the story for more on Sacramento.
All right, Paul. Well, Phoenix has been making a living running the fast break. Rick Adelman admonishing his club during that timeout. Make sure that we get back on transition defense. And a cute story at the beginning of the game, Derek Martin, very gregarious for the Sacramento Kings on the bench. He was talking trash to Cliff Robinson. Robinson leaned over and said, "You're not even in the game. What are you talking about?" Send it back over to Paul.
Derek Martin has played some moments, certainly for this team, but a lot more depth and strength at the point guard. A fine pro out of UCLA. That comment was gratuitous for Bill Walton. Ball to be inbounded on the sideline by the Sacramento Kings, trailing by 3.
I heard that Rick Adelman, through Fran Charles, complaining to his team about transition defense. It's so hard, though, to keep Jason Kidd in that open floor and stop him with the ball. He's just too good with it. 8-2 advantage in fast breaks. The Suns have hurt themselves at the free throw line, just 3 for 7, and trying to win a game on the road against a tough Sacramento team, you have to take advantage of every opportunity.
Shot clock winding down at 6. Rodney Rogers can make that shot. Rattles out. Sakalides with another offensive rebound. And from point-blank range is still 0 for 4. Stolen by Tony Delk. Running with Gugliotta. Jason Kidd on the trail. And Tony Buckets is not going to give that ball up no matter what. And this is his kind of building. Played for the Kings last year. Signed as a free agent with the Phoenix Suns this summer. And he loves this building.
Well, he had 53 points in it. Oddly enough, Phoenix lost that ball game as he just had a fabulous game playing against his former teammates.
In that game, he was 20 for 27 from the floor. Phoenix misses yet another free throw. 13 of 15 from the free throw line. Put up 53 points. 0 3-point makes. The Suns now 3 for 8 from the free throw line. And Cliff Robinson coming back in for Jake Sakalides. Well, what would Phoenix's lead be if Sakalides could make a shot from 1.5 feet?
And again, if you're going to get offensive rebounds, you certainly want to take advantage of it if you can. But Sakalides, you know, this is his first playoff game. Obviously, he was telling Mario Elie, he said, "Hey, don't worry about it. I played in some European championship games." And Mario Elie said, "You have absolutely no idea what you're in for." I think you scared him to death.
I looked those tournaments up. I'll have that for you in just a minute. Rodney Rogers against Scott Pollard. Misses on the layup. Turkoglu and Gugliotta battling for the rebound. That was the Sparta Cup and the Hellenic Cup, both played in Greece. And Jake Sakalides trying to tell NBA champion 3 times over Mario Elie that he was ready. Vlade spinning inside, comes up short, and Scott Pollard, the player that Jeff Petrie was absolutely determined to re-sign, I should say, in the offseason, contributes right away off the bench.
Well, the Phoenix Suns have their problems in blocking out as well. Of course, playing behind Divac last time, Cliff Robinson getting overwhelmed. You've got to be very careful when you're playing against a guy like Divac because he's so clever. Get your arm hanging out. He'll go underneath to draw free throws. He averaged 9 free throws in the 4 games played against the Suns during the regular year. But even though the Suns don't come down and double team, they kind of stand around and watch instead of getting a body on somebody.
Fairly basic stuff. Pollard now guarding Rodney Rogers. Turkoglu has switched over onto Sean Marion. 5 on the shot clock. Good defense by Scott Pollard. Air ball by Rodney Rogers. Shot clock violation. Superb defensive work that time by the Kings.
Well, Scott Pollard always does a good job. He digs in defensively that time, and that's really not a good play for Rodney Rogers at 6'7", who would be more comfortable stepping away from the basket at, well, the 3-point line, really, where, of course, last year he was an outstanding 3-point shooter at 44%, shooting it terribly this year, although picking it up of late. But from out at that distance, now he can face up, take the shot, or take it on the drive against a bigger, slower defender.
Going back to Divac. Bobby Jackson, a real plus off the bench for the Sacramento Kings. Comes up short once again, and the Kings started out very hot. Jason Williams hitting a couple of shots. Peja Stojakovic had 5 quick points, but hasn't scored in the last 10 minutes. Marion stepping inside, and nice rebound taken by Vlade Divac. Again, averaging 20 points a game in the 4 regular season meetings between these two teams. Stojakovic, big advantage inside against Jason Kidd. Rodney Rogers with the rejection.
He came over and blocked that shot, but he also got a lot of body on Stojakovic. Peja felt it, the crowd felt it, and saw it.
Bobby Jackson weaving his way. Sacramento trailing by 3 after 1. Has held the Phoenix Suns scoreless for the first 3.5 minutes of the second quarter. They now lead by 1.
Well, Scott Skiles not taking any chances. I wouldn't call this a major run. It's been a mini run. Bobby Jackson doing a fabulous job coming over as a free agent from the Minnesota Timberwolves, actually filling in the same role that Tony Delk had.
The Sacramento Kings have recaptured the lead here at home. Game 1 of this 5-game series. Pretty high-scoring affair, Matt Lucas, particularly in the first quarter. Not unusual when the Kings are around.
Well, they can score from a lot of different ways, and you look at the last 3 years. Now, in '99 and 2000, they did that scoring with, I would say, some indifferent defense. It's a totally new ball game this year. They are much improved in that area with Doug Christie coming over for Corliss Williams and the addition of Bobby Jackson.
Vinny Del Negro seeing his first minutes picked up in a midseason trade from the Golden State Warriors. Battle for the rebound. It will stay with the Phoenix Suns getting a new shot clock. John Barry, who missed 16 games with a broken left hand midseason, seeing his first action. Sacramento leading by 1. Approaching the 8-minute mark of the second quarter. Sean Marion with that quick jump inside. Boy, did he get freed up.
A terrific execution on the play, quickly swinging it from one side of the floor to the other. Sacramento unable to recover. I think the Phoenix Suns are really looking inside quite a bit. It's been a big weakness of theirs all season long. They generally create their open shots with pick-and-roll type of plays, but they're going to be very careful right now with Jason Kidd on the bench. Normally, things don't go well for Phoenix when he's not on the floor.
Stojakovic trying to find some space, can't create the contact. Divac, look what I found after Scott Pollard kept it alive, and the Sacramento Kings veteran center Vlade Divac will get to the free throw line.
A very small team on the floor for Phoenix right now. They got an outstanding rebounder in that man, Sean Marion, out there. But Cliff Robinson and Rodney Rogers are not volume rebounders by any means. So the size and bulk advantage of Vlade Divac and Scott Pollard creating all kinds of havoc on the offensive glass.
Divac putting up again a career-high 34 points in a victory over the Phoenix Suns in the second meeting of the year, and really had to. Chris Webber was tossed out in the first 7 minutes of that game.
Vlade has really come on in the late part of this season after in the early part not coming in the best of shape, and he heard it from Chris Webber, who really lit into him about that fact. He has worked very hard ever since, working on his conditioning and actually even going into the weight room from time to time.
No, as the basket is scored. Out of bounds. I was still thinking about the picture of Vlade in the weight room, so I missed the shot down along the baseline. The lead has disappeared after the free throws, and the makes it for Vlade Divac, and we're tied at 30.
Well, so far, good execution in the half court by Phoenix without Kidd on the floor.
Blocked by Sean Marion from behind. Sacramento matches up, getting back. Rodney Rogers thought about the three. Once again, Jason Kidd on the sideline. Nice look inside to Sean Marion. Spins it up off the glass in the face of Vlade Divac.
It was almost like Marion and Rogers. They both had mismatches. They didn't really know which way to go, so they just kind of held their position, stayed it, and got a big break from Sacramento on that weak double team. Beautiful feed inside and Vlade Divac.
Don't expect much offense in the half-court set from Scott Pollard. Total loss of vision. He flashes to the basket for the uncontested dunk.
Yeah, but if you make a hard cut off the ball, Vlade Divac's going to find you. Excellent big man passing.
Robinson in the lane a long time. Shot clock at 5. Bobby Jackson doing a tremendous job. It's no secret that Bobby Jackson, along with Doug Christie, have changed the makeup of this team at the defensive end.
And it also put Peja Stojakovic in a position to play more minutes, and everybody thinks of him as just an offensive player. He is a much improved defender, and that's why this team is so much better, all around better defense.
Shot clock winding down. Good defense once again by Bobby Jackson. Just grazes the rim. No shot clock violation. Tied at 32. Weber taking it at Rodney Rogers. The same little turnaround. Hook shot turning to his left. Chris Weber now with 10.
Well, he knows there's no height on the floor right now. He looked very confident on that catch, just backing his way in. And he also realizes there's no double team coming, so he's being very patient, taking his time.
Rogers, uncontested three-point shot, hard off the heel, and nobody in a purple jersey anywhere near the offensive rebound.
What a difference between last year and this year for Rodney Rogers. Last year, 4th best in the NBA at 44%, has dropped below 30% this year. Big difference in their team three-point shooting.
Neither big center can make a shot. Vlade banging that one off the bottom of the iron was so open, I think it caught him by surprise. Game's been very physical inside, maybe expecting some contact. Rogers recocks once again from 18 feet, and a good pass out of the middle gets Rodney Rogers his 9th point off the bench. Bobby Jackson turns it over. Rodney Rogers, whose conditioning sometimes has been suspect this year, playing a lot of very hard minutes right now in an up-tempo game.
And he looks very tired right now. Now, he made the jump shot before, but all of his other jumpers have looked like fatigue-type couple shots.
The foul is called against the Phoenix Suns, and 4:45 to go in the first half. We told you it'd be close, and it is closer than Chris Weber can get inside, tied at 34.
But Chris Weber backing his way in for his little jump hook, and there's the penetration by Vinny Del Negro. And finally, Rodney Rogers gets one to fall. We're all tied up.
Took the early lead after one quarter, 28-25, now tied at 34. And Chris Weber, a great player, now his time to emerge off to a reasonably good start.
Well, it's show and tell time for Chris Weber. This is his 5th trip to the playoffs, has not gotten out of the first round yet. We mentioned early in the game, he looks not as mobile as he normally is, playing with a couple of sore ankles. Off to a good start in this one. 5 for 10 from the field, and he's smart to go inside with that little jump hook, but only 2 rebounds as the Sacramento Kings having all kinds of problems on the defensive board.
8 on the shot clock. Weber against Cliff Robinson. Same little jump hook comes up short. Sakalides mistimed the rebound, and then Cliff Robinson, the veteran out of UConn now in his 12th season, usually very reliable hands, drops that one straight out of bounds.
Scott Skiles coming back with Jake Sakalides to get a little bit size in there as Weber and Devon starting to make their presence felt. Skiles going small, going big, keeps searching for a combination. The important thing for them is they are staying in this game and holding off the Sacramento Kings from one of their big runs.
Very strong offensive rebound by Peja Stojakovic, and Mario Elie, back in the basketball game, told us yesterday he's been in Sean Marion's ear throughout the course of the week. Don't ever lose sight of Peja Stojakovic. If you don't see him, you go find him. It didn't that time on the block out. Weber again against Robinson. Same move, same shot. 3rd time rattles out. Tremendous traffic inside, gets his own rebound, and after all of that, will get to the free throw line.
One of the most effective things about the jump hook, if you go up and you try to block it, which is very difficult to do, as he goes up there, really, Chris Weber didn't try to block it, and he didn't keep his body. Chris Robinson did not keep his body in between Vlade Divac and the basket. You got to do one or the other. Challenge the shot or get a body on the shooter.
The foul was on Mario Elie, his 2nd, the 4th team foul. Weber, the first free throw is good. And Matt, are these MVP numbers? Certainly in an ordinary season, but we've had some tremendous performances both in the East and Western Conference.
I was telling everybody yesterday, Paul, at our meeting, that the last time that
an MVP won the award was Moses Malone. Won the award without having the first or second best record in the regular season was Moses Malone with the Houston Rockets back in 1982. It generally comes from that first or second best record, and that means not that there's any major criteria for that, but that's just the way it's been, which means Allen Iverson or Tim Duncan, I think.
Both free throws are good by Weber now with a dozen. The lead is 36-34 for Sacramento until Jason Kidd buries that 18-footer on Doug Christie. He now has 8, and we're tied once again.
Well, very important for the Suns. They got a nice little breather for Jason Kidd, who really didn't lose much ground at all, basically tied while he was out on the bench.
Skip pass to Stojakovic. 7 on the shot clock. Dibot's turning inside against Sakali. Sean Marion comes over to block that. Jason against Jason into the lane, and look what I found. Jason Kidd gets bailed out and will get to the free throw line. The foul on Jason Williams, his first personal.
Jason Kidd, much more confident with his perimeter shot. Notices the defense trying to go under that screen. Wisely pulls back, and the Phoenix Suns, not known for their shot blocking, already with 5 in this game.
Ellie for 3. Rattles long, all Sacramento inside on the defensive glass. Good look to Chris Weber. In rhythm and buries it from the top of the key. Weber with 14, the lead for Sacramento, 38-36, just under 3 minutes to go in the half. Jason Kidd continues to be very aggressive offensively.
I don't think he's happy, nor is Scott Skiles happy with that particular shot. You'd like to get a little ball movement, work good defense, and before you can get that outside shot anytime you want it.
Kidd loses control, and that's twice. Cliff Robinson and Jason Kidd quite simply just dropped the ball out of bounds. Phoenix now with 8 turnovers, and Scott Skiles and the Phoenix Suns take time out to settle things down.
Jason Kidd, an excellent passer, reading the slow break very well, penetrating just ever so slightly to let the defense sag to find that open shot for Chris Weber, and the Kings have taken a 2-point lead.
Playoff rematch between the Lakers and the Trailblazers. And coming up on Net Zero at the half, we'll talk live with Portland guard Steve Smith. We'll also have highlights from the Knicks' victory over the Raptors, and we'll talk about the first half between the Suns and the Kings with Kevin and PJ.
This is very un-Johnson-like. Matty, you had it right. Sacks improved defensively. Both teams under 30% from the field.
Now back to Paul and Matt.
Thank you, Ahmad. KJ looking a little nervous or a little well satisfied with his prediction back in the studio, picking his former team, the Phoenix Suns. But neither team, as PJ just mentioned, shooting the ball at all well. After a very torrid start this second quarter, it has really chilled out.
Well, there was such an adrenaline rush at the beginning of this game, and the action was fast and furious. Now that it has slowed down and it's more half-court basketball, neither team shooting particularly well.
And a lot of isolation basketball. Sacramento pounding the ball inside, and the Phoenix Suns, albeit much smaller, looking for mismatches on their own. Christie against Ellie, 5 on the shot clock. Nice strip by Ellie inside, and the 24-second shot clock violation. Good defensive stand by the Phoenix Suns, and so much has been said about Sacramento's improvement defensively. The Phoenix Suns allowing 91.8 points per game, 7th best in the league and a franchise record.
Well, and that defense has been improving over the last few years. Oddly enough, ever since Scott Skiles joined Danny Ainge's staff as an assistant coach. Scott, as a player, was not really known for his defensive ability, but he certainly knew all the nuances of that part of the game and able to teach it to this team very well.
Sean Marion elevating over Peja Stojakovic now with 13. 1 minute, 45 seconds remaining in the first half, tied at 38. Stojakovic flying baseline, but overcame Jake Sakalides for the rejection. And yet another turnover for the Phoenix Suns. 3 things: Sakalides not being able to finish, but here getting the block, missing at the free throw line, and turning the ball over.
Well, so far in that compelling matchup, it's been pretty much all Sean Marion. Terrific help by the rookie Sakalides, but 13.7 rebounds for Marion, 2 for 10 for the field for Peja Stojakovic.
Vlade Divac using his wily old ways to body up on rookie Jake Sakalides, who's appealing to the officials, but Scott Skiles was very concerned about how clever Vlade was down around the basket.
Well, Scott Skiles would much prefer if Sakalides could get around and front Chris Webber. But, you know, when you can't do it, you can't do it, and you got to get behind. But we talk about the clever play of Divac, especially against a rookie player. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt just about every time, Paul.
Divac now with 8, converts the three-point play. That was the second personal on Jake Sakalides, the 15th foul for the Suns, who are now over the limit. Christie now on Marion. Comes up short, can't get that second jump going for the rebound. Stojakovic was available, Webber didn't see him. Lob pass inside, beautiful play from Webber to Stojakovic.
Well, that's the point guard mentality of Chris Webber. Like a lot of big men, they love to handle the ball in the open floor. Actually, was looking for a fast break and an excellent pass inside.
Sacramento with a 5-point lead, and the crowd right back into it. 5 on the shot clock. Rebound taken and then missed by Chris Webber. And in our position, the owners, the Maloofs, to our right, so we're not going to ask them to get out of the way. Some other fans to our left. And quite frankly, I still don't know who took that shot.
I think it was Mario Ellie. A three-pointer out on the left
couldn't
side.
See either?
Yeah, no.
We've paid a lot for these seats, mind you. Vlade Divac back to the free throw line, and Jake Sakalides picks up his 3rd personal foul.
This crowd is so eager to get involved. They feel so much a part of this team. Anything this team does well, they make a three-point shot, make a defensive play, they get a big rebound, a stop, anything like that, and they're on their feet, screaming their heads off.
Divac now 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Tony Delk comes back in, replacing Sakalides. Tony Delk playing his college basketball at Kentucky, the 16th pick overall by Charlotte in '96.
Well, the Suns very small right now. 33 seconds left in this first half. Should be a difficult matchup at the other end for the Kings. But they should get another possession here, and then it'll be advantage Sacramento.
Chance to go 2 for 1 if Jason Kidd wants it. That's by the board. 6-0 run for Sacramento. They lead 44-38. Lots of time still left on the shot clock. Marion comes away with the offensive rebound. And Vlade screaming at Stojakovic for not blocking off. 6 seconds in the half. Jason Kidd steps in the lane. The foul is on the outside. Sacramento had a foul to give. Good usage of those extra fouls with time winding down, and Scott Skiles is going to ask for a timeout to set the last play with 4.9 seconds remaining in the first half, and Sacramento leading by 6. We'll step aside quickly. Again, the Kings on top here at home. Game 1 of the Western Conference playoffs against the Phoenix Suns. They lead by 6. Look at the leading scorers so far today. Sean Marion has been active and superb. 6 for 11 from the floor. Chris Webber, 14 points in the first half. Once again, Ellie to inbound. Kidd one-on-one. Jason against Jason. Kidd comes up short on the runner. The rebound taken by Doug Christie. And that will do it for the first half. Sacramento behind this incredible crowd at Arco. Got out early, led 13-7, but Phoenix came storming back. Led it 28-25 after the first quarter. But now Sacramento once again behind Chris Webber has taken the lead by 6. And C. Webb is standing by with our FC. Fran.
All right, Paul, Chris, you guys started out on a frenetic pace. You're having a good game. Vlade is. The game plan was to get the ball inside. How do you get the rest of your teammates involved in the second half?
Well, fortunately, we have a good team where we have shooters and big people. So it's not like we're waiting to get Peja involved. It's almost like he's picking his spots. The shooters are picking their spots. And at any time, they could take over the game. And then we just work from outside in. But, you know, every game is important right now. We got to make sure we win. So it's not about who scores, who's involved, as long as we're winning and everybody's doing their thing.
Phoenix seems to have taken a page out of your book, running a lot. What do you guys need to do to get better on transition defense and on the board?
Well, with a point guard like Jason Kidd, you know, it's really hard. You kind of got to have 2 people on him and then 3 people on the rest of them and hope one guy that's open misses the shot because he's such a great penetrator and a rebounder. So we just got to keep up with the effort, and effort to take you a long way.
All right, Chris, good luck in the second half. Paul?
All right, thank you, Fran. A good start to the first quarter for the Sacramento Kings and a good finish to the first half behind Chris Webber. Phoenix has got to make their free throws, take care of the basketball. Jason Kidd will have a lot to say about that. Now stay tuned for the Net Zero at the half after these messages. And remember, you're watching the NBA playoffs on NBC.
Net Zero Defenders of the Free World. Introducing Net Zero Platinum, the ultimate internet. Call 1-800-DEFENDER today.
Ahmad Rashad back in our New York studio with Kevin and PJ as we talk about the first half between the Kings and the Suns. The Suns trailed by 6, but you like the bench play.
Well, the bench play is important for Phoenix in the whole series. They're outscoring them right now 11-6, but the real story for Phoenix is margin of error. They can't make mistakes. They're missing free throws, and they have to force turnovers. Normally they force 17 turnovers a game. Now they're only forcing 6. To be effective on the road, you have to do what gets you wins, and that's play good defense for Phoenix.
Tempo is more their way, though. They like it. Sac wants it to be 110, 115 points. So I think that's good. The spurt, Peja Stojakovic finally made a basket late. They need him. He's only 3 for 11, and C. Webb is not 100%.
Yeah. All right. In the third game of our tripleheader, it's game 1 between the Lakers and the Trailblazers, and joining us live from Los Angeles is the Trailblazers' Steve Smith. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, now, even though your team has struggled this year, we have been talking about how dangerous you guys are going into the playoffs. Do you feel the same way?
Well, we feel the same way. We feel we definitely had a tough year, but, you know, it's all over now. It's time for the playoffs, and I think the thing is we're going to come together, and all we got to do is rebound and play hard, and we have a chance of winning this.
Steve, does this Laker team give you a chance to continue where you left off last year and improve all the wrongs that happened this year?
Well, any team that does. I think the thing is for us is we're not just looking at the Lakers. We're trying to win the championships, and they're just one of the teams that we have to go through. To win a championship, we have to go through all the teams. So we're just starting out with the Lakers, and knowing these teams knows each other real well. We're just going to try to come out and do what we do is rebound and pound the ball inside and try to get a win.
Steve, is your mindset any different? You're back in the starting lineup now as compared to coming off the bench.
I got the same mindset, just stay aggressive. I think the thing is for us is people made a lot of it. We were winning, and whatever it takes to win. So the thing is now I'm back in a role. You know, wouldn't want this role because of Bonzi being out. We're going to miss him a lot, but just got to go out there and play the way I've been playing.
Steve, you guys have played the Lakers 15 times over the last 2 seasons. I guess there would be no surprises heading into this series.
Oh, it is none. I think it's one of the best rivals in basketball. And we know that the key to this is rebounding. If we can rebound and keep Shaq and those guys off the boards and not give up second shots, we'll have a good chance of winning it.
Steve, do you feel you guys have any advantage going into game 1?
Yeah, we do. I think definitely Rasheed in the post and us posting up some of their little guards in the post is definitely our advantage, and they're probably going to have to double, and we can kick out and hit our open shots. That's going to be our key and our advantages right there.
All right, Steve, thanks for joining us, and good luck to you today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Portland comes in as the 7th-place team in the West, while the Lakers are the number 2 team. But, PJ, is there much of a gap between these 2 teams?
These 2 teams are very, very evenly balanced. The games have been great games. You talked about the 15 games, 8-7. We talked about that before. This is a great matchup. Great. I think Portland's going to step up. I think it's going to be a great series. And it's too bad it's only a 5-gamer.
Steve's a consummate pro. The one guy he says they miss is Bonzi Wells. Everybody's talking about the rivalry between the 2 of them. But it always concerns me is when a player talks championship as opposed to first round. I think they really got to focus in on this series.
Now, the Lakers had their problems in terms of team chemistry, but I think some of the things that have gone on in the past couple of weeks looks like they're over that.
I think so. The Lakers are headed true north right now going into the playoffs. That's exactly where you want to be. Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal have done a great job in coming together at the right time. Everybody's talking about these 2 guys getting along. Right here, you see Kobe Bryant getting fouled hard. Who steps in? Big Shaq, Big Daddy steps in. As a player, you love that when a teammate steps in for you. I used to love when Charles Barkley would defend me against some of those bigger guys.
Yeah, last one they won the championship was big brother, little brother.
Right. You got two teams. It's interesting. L.A. wants to build a bridge to the regular season because they finished so well and everything's on a high for them. Portland wants to forget about the regular season and start over right now.
All right, earlier today, it was the Knicks over the Raptors in Game 1. We'll have highlights and reaction from the Garden when we come back. You're watching Net Zero at the half. By 6 in our first game today, it was Vince Carter leading the Toronto Raptors into New York for Game 1 against the Knicks. Vince Carter and the Raptors looking for revenge after falling 3-0 to the Knicks in last year's first round. After going 0 for 7, Carter on the break. His dunk gives the Raptors a 44-41 halftime lead. Fourth quarter, Charlie Ward misses the wide-open 3, but Marcus Camby is there for the putback. Knicks lead by 5. Charlie Ward gets another chance. This time he connects to give the Knicks the 81-75 advantage. Final moments, Allen Houston pulls up for the jumper. Houston led New York with 23 points as the Knicks go up 1-0 in the best-of-5 series. And after the game, Lewis Johnson spoke with the Knicks' Latrell Sprewell.
All right, Ahmad, thanks. Latrell, you didn't shoot particularly well, just 4 for 12, but you held Vince Carter to 5 for 22, frustrated him all day. Talk about the defense you played on him.
It wasn't just me. I said before this series even started that my teammates are going to have to do their part if we're going to have success against Vince. You know, I have certain responsibilities, and I did my part, and it's up to them to do their part. So it was a total team effort. It wasn't just me.
Explain the difference. You know, in the regular season, they seem to have your number, but in the playoffs, it's different. Why is it so different?
Well, because it's the playoffs. I mean, I think the other thing is we have a veteran team, guys that have experience. And they're a little bit of a younger team, very talented, very athletic, but sometimes that experience will take you a long way.
All right, Latrell, congratulations on that win.
All right, thanks.
Okay, Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Lewis. So just as they did in last year's playoffs, the Knicks were able to hold Vince Carter in check. Here was Carter's reaction after the game.
Well, first of all, it's about the team, man. I mean, everybody's, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And I didn't get us here by myself. It was a team effort, so I would prefer us to, ask the questions as a team, because I'm not going to say anything about me because it's not about me. It is frustrating, because we want to win. We feel that we're capable of winning this game, this series, but you got to get one first. So hopefully we can put together game 2.
For more on the game, let's go back to the Garden for a live report from Peter Vesey. Peter, what else did Vince Carter have to say after the game?
Well, let's calculate it, Ahmad. Vince Carter missed a game-high 17 field goal attempts. He committed a game-high 5 turnovers. He missed an awful lot of easy shots for him. And then he said that, Mama said there'd be days like this. In fact, she just did. Michelle Carter was right there outside the locker room, and she told him exactly that.
All right, what's been the reaction from inside the Knicks locker room, Peter?
Well, I think Kurt Thomas put it exactly right when he talked about they came into this game with the mental outlook of we're not going to give them any layups and any dunks. Whoever controls the boards is going to control the series. And I'm sure they mentioned it during the game at some point that, the Raptors during the year owned a 62-27 advantage on the offensive boards. And today it was 10-9 in the Knicks' favor. That says it all, Ahmad.
All right, Peter, it looks like they're off to a pretty good series. All right, the importance of playoff experience, we saw it yesterday with John Stockton and the Jazz, and once again today with the Knicks, Kevin.
The Jazz yesterday, they execute down the stretch. The same thing with the Knicks. They've been in this situation time and time again. When they get in the fourth quarter, it's a close ball game, that favors the Knicks because they're experienced. Latrell Sprewell plays great defense. The Knicks, as a point of emphasis, they crash the board. Allen Houston steps up big, and Charlie Ward and Mark Jackson contribute strong from the point guard position.
Got to the free throw line. They're a great free throw shooting team, but they don't always get there. Today they got to the line a lot, 24 for 28. With all due respect to Vince, he's a fabulous player. The other guys on Toronto stepped up today and played. Toronto cannot win with Vince Carter struggling.
All right, coming up, we'll send you back to Sacramento for the second half between the Kings and the Suns. Thanks for joining us on Net Zero at the half.
This has been Net Zero at the half.
My name is Alana Obi. I see my family out there. They may not be my children biologically, but they are still my family. The playgrounds used to be infested, but now my children have a place to play. We bond together, and we take care of the problem. We're watching. This is my block. This is my family.
Risk management is a 5-step systematic process designed to make operations safer without compromising the mission. When we assess hazards and make the right safety decision, then the opportunity for accidents is greatly reduced. The 5 steps of risk management are: 1, identify hazards; 2, assess hazards to determine risks; 3, develop controls and make risk decisions; 4, implement controls; and 5, supervise and evaluate. Proper risk management makes a positive impact on mission accomplishment and safety. Do your part. Keep our exercises safe for everyone.
Hey, Ma, you're late.
What about the baby, Mom?
Yeah, Mom. I want my car seat.
I don't know what I was thinking. I always have time to keep my family safe.
Thanks, Mom.
Arena, the 79th consecutive sellout, and the dichotomy of both of these teams, offense running up and down in the first quarter, the second quarter showing the other side of their personality, improved defense. That's why they're a factor in these NBA playoffs in the Western Conference. Paul Sunderland with Matt Gukas once again. The small forward matchup we talked about being so important in this contest. Sean Marion had the better numbers, but what adjustments are made to get Peja back off and Sean under wraps?
Well, Peja Stojakovic started out this game wanting to prove a point to Sean Marion that he was going to get off, and he did. He made a couple of field goals earlier, but after that, I thought the quickness of Sean Marion kind of took over and held him in check to one field goal late in that first half. There, that was early in the game when he got that jumper over. This was the late one. Chris Webber made the nice feed inside. Sean Marion has had a terrific first half, not only scoring 13 points, pulling down 8 rebounds, getting out on the floor, running it very well, and also not only defending his own man, helping out on defense with a couple of blocked shots. There you see the numerical advantage going to Sean Marion, but throughout this regular season, Peja Stojakovic, keep in mind, this guy averages 20 points a game, and he often gets off to slow starts, and you have to call this one a relatively slow one in this first half, and then he picks it up big time second half.
Well, Pacific time, it's still quite early, so has lots of time yet to light things up. Peja Stojakovic for the Sacramento Kings. Back with more in the start of the second half, right after this from Sacramento.
Captain Robert Jeffrey was awakened by the bouncing stretcher which carried him to a North Vietnamese prisoner camp. Enduring constant interrogation, Captain Jeffrey held firm to the principles of Article 5 of the Code of Conduct. When questioned, should I become a prisoner of war, I'm required to give name, rank, service number, and date of birth. I will evade answering further questions to the utmost of my ability. I will make no oral or written statements disloyal to my country and its allies or harmful to their cause.
You've probably heard of the California gold rush, but did you know there was a copper rush in Arizona in the late 1800s? Mineral claims of the late 1870s turned up huge copper deposits in southeastern Arizona. The emerging electrical industry provided a thriving market for copper, and developers sank many shafts into the area. People came from everywhere to work the mines. They built small towns near the shaft entrances, many of which had to be moved a distance away when the mining operation expanded. In 1950, a mining company began digging a huge open-pit mine, removing 380 million tons of ore and rock before closing in 1974. The pit itself is 1.25 miles long, 3/4 mile wide, and 900 feet deep. The town of Bisbee, named for the owner of one of the original mines, still rests on the northwest rim of the pit. While its origins date from the first days of the copper rush, today Bisbee is a center of art and tourism and one of the custodians of the history of America's copper mining industry.
Welcome back to the NBA playoffs on NBC. Fran Charles here at Arco Arena, where the Kings lead the Suns by 6 as we get ready to start the second half. I talked with Suns head coach Scott Skiles as he made his way out to the court. He said he's happy with the job his team is doing defensively, holding Sacramento to under 40% shooting. His only complaint, his team hasn't capitalized enough. Too many missed opportunities down low inside. Paul?
Fran, no question about that. And also missed opportunities, Matt, from behind the arc. The Phoenix Suns only 1 for 7. We would kind of expect that, but also only 3 of 9 from the free throw line.
And I think that's more what Scott Skiles was referring to. This is a team, Phoenix Suns, who can't miss those opportunities. It's going to be so much difficult, especially in the second half, because the Sacramento Kings generally build momentum as the game wears on. They get more and more confident as this crowd gets more and more involved.
And Jason Williams for the Sacramento Kings starting the second half at the point, looking for any momentum at all against the Phoenix Suns. Cliff Robinson comes out. Chris Webber can't close the gap, and he nails the first shot of the second half. But in the last 10 quarters, Jason Williams, right there, number 55, has scored a total of 3 points on 1 for 10 shooting in 66 minutes against the Phoenix Suns. Vlade Divac's taking it, and Sakalides can't get the roll. Jake Sakalides, the rookie out of Greece, the only player in the game in any sort of foul trouble with 3, but you wouldn't expect him to play that many minutes in the second half. Jason Kidd coming up short, and the poor shooting continues for both of these teams, both shooting at 36% in the first half.
Now, once again, a very curious shot on the part of Jason Kidd. I thought he had a very so-so first half. A lot of that due to the good defense by Doug Christie on him, but also Jason Kidd has made some poor decisions on taking quick outside shots. He's got too much ability to put the ball on the floor, run pick and rolls, get in the lane, create shots for his teammates, and then at the end of the shot clock, look for that jump shot.
Marion, the very quick jump shot along the baseline, and he gets off the floor faster than maybe anybody in the NBA, and Mario Ellie says he gets off faster the second time better than anybody he's ever seen play the game.
Well, that's why he's such a good offensive rebounder.
Turnover by Sacramento, and there is the aforementioned Mario Ellie. Jason Kidd with a pull-up jump shot, and that he can get over Jason Williams. Big size advantage.
Sure, it's better shot. It's more in rhythm. The first started on an advanced pass below the free throw line extended, then the kick out and a little bump, and you get into the lane. It's a much higher percentage shot. And right now, Jason Kidd needs a little jolt of a confidence boost.
Points off turnovers have been a huge story throughout the course of this 4-game series. Phoenix has turned Sacramento over 19.5 times in the 4 games during the regular season, leading out to 25 points. And right away, Rick Adelman has seen quite enough at the start of this second half.
Well, poor shooting first half for Peja Stojakovic, just 3 for 11, trying to get himself some higher percentage shots, not just relying on jump shots. Sean Marion, he's got a funny little release there on that jump shot, but very effective from middle distance, 16 to 18 feet, a very good outside shooter. And again, the Phoenix Suns second in the league in steals, and this is what happened when they get out and run. Phoenix have tied it up once again at 46.
Scott Skiles' message regarding what Fran Charles reported from the sideline, getting it done and having effect in the second half. Only 5 field goals in 12 minutes in the second quarter, already 4 in a minute and a half of play here in the second half.
Now this Phoenix team relies so much on Jason Kidd, and Scott Skiles up front about it. He said, hey, we turn it over to Jason, we make sure he gets the ball in his hands, and we rely on him to make good decisions. And throughout this game, I thought Jason made some good ones early and then had a drought where he's taking some bad shots, but lately on the last few possessions, looks like he's coming back to his game.
Third personal foul on Cliff Robinson, who's got to play a lot of minutes in this game. Weber tries to pass out of the double team, and Chris Weber commits the personal foul going over the top. His second personal. The frustrations at the offensive end to start this third quarter continue for Sacramento. Fran Charles also telling us that during that last timeout, Rick Adelman absolutely imploring his Kings to take care of the ball with 9 turnovers already in the game.
Well, knows that during the regular season that the Sacramento Kings turned it over an average of 20 times, turning into 25 points on average. And even though it was a 3-1 advantage in games for Sacramento Kings, it could have very easily been the other way around, and just about all the Kings would admit to that. So they know how good the Phoenix Suns are and how capable they are, despite the fact that the Kings have the home court advantage in this series.
Divac kicks out to Williams, buries the 3. But can the trend continue? We saw that right at the beginning of the game. You know the Kings fans want it.
Well, he'll find out early. I predict the next time there's any kind of transition play coming up the floor, he'll launch another one.
Cliff Robinson into the lane. Vlade stays away, and Cliff Robinson with a running left-hander now with 8.
Oh, what a defensive job Sean Marion doing on Stojakovic, pushing him way out on the floor. There's that 3. Not exactly the way I thought it'd be taken. Great steal by Williams.
There's a 2, and they like that one. The heat check continues, sometimes with results, sometimes not.
And I don't understand why Jason Williams doesn't take more of those distance shots. 15 to 17 foot. I think he's an outstanding shooter from there.
Cliff Robinson back-to-back from both sides of the dish. Left-handed, now right-handed runner. Oh, terrible pass by Jason Williams. And Mario Elie finds himself alone momentarily. And great finish by the veteran. 11 turnovers for Sacramento, now leading to 12 points for the Phoenix Suns. Vlade Divac, Chris Weber, great seal on Cliff Robinson.
Chris Weber can just be overpowering in there. Chris Weber is only 6'9", same as Cliff Robinson, but he has the long arm reach, and as Scott Skiles says, he's got the great mitts. Anything around him, he is able to corral and hold on to.
Rebound taken by Stojakovic. The Sacramento Kings lead 53-52. Christie unguarded for the long-range 3. Good block out by Sakalides. But trapped by both Divac and Weber. Vlade, a little bit of an acting job there. Tries the flop. That ball way off the mark. Maybe go back to the runner. Left-handed, right-handed, unguarded from outside the arc. Nothing but a chunk of the backboard.
Just not a good decision on the part of Cliff Robinson. Both Chris Weber and Divac were in the backcourt trying to come up with a steal, so there was going to be a big advantage if they just worked the ball inside for a high percentage shot.
Second personal foul on Jason Kidd. 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the third quarter. The Kings lead is 1. Stojakovic thrown down the lane for the layup. Good pass by Vlade Divac.
Yeah, Pager will find out that he'll be able to get into the scoring column a lot easier if he plays off the ball rather than try to continually go one-on-one against a very sticky defender, Sean Marion.
Good defense by Stojakovic. Kidd, as the shot clock winds down, buries the triple. Jason Kidd, only a 30% three-point shooter on the season, now with 13 points on the afternoon. Kick to Weber. Well, that's where he likes to play, but you know that the Sacramento Kings want him more involved on the block.
Especially because he can do such a good job on the offensive board, get easy baskets, get the Phoenix Suns front line and others in foul trouble, and get some points at the foul line.
Jason Kidd taking the ball to the basket. The foul is the third on Chris Weber.
We talked earlier about the more aggressive Jason Kidd in looking for his own shot. With about 21 games to go in the regular season, there was a players-only meeting, really encouraged by Scott Skiles. And Mario Elie, Cliff Robinson, the two senior leaders on this team, went to Jason Kidd and said, Jason, you are being too passive. You are being too unselfish, looking to pass the ball, make plays for other people. We don't have Penny Hardaway right now. You've got to score for us. Since then, he has picked it up, averaged just under 22 a game since that point. They also got on the case of Rodney Rogers, and he has improved improved since then as well.
Yeah, Cliff Robinson, a lot of people don't think of Cliff as outspoken, and he's not. But in that room, we were told yesterday he got to Rodney Rogers and he said, look, Scott Skiles is taking you out because you're not playing well. We love you. We need you to play well. We need you to play like you did last year when you're sixth man of the year. Forget all of that with Scott. Play well, and he'll love you too. Vlade Divac, the beneficiary of a bit of a fumble. Chris Webber looking for the foul. Divac in double figures with 11.
Well, the referee's letting them play on a possession a couple times ago for Phoenix. Sean Marion got hammered, no call that time. Clearly, Chris Webber almost had his head taken off.
Nice poke away by Vlade Divac. And you know Jason Williams thought about the three. Kidd fronting Peja Stojakovic. Good help by Robinson on the double team. Foul is called on the outside by Bennett Salvatore. The foul was on Jason Kidd. That would be his third personal foul.
And the reason for the complaint, not so much by Jason Kidd, more by Scott Skiles, is, hey, you're letting it get physical. Now all of a sudden you're calling some touch fouls. It's going to be very difficult for the players to adjust and get used to the way the game is being called.
The officials today, Bennett Salvatore, Mike Mathis, and Monty McCutcheon. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, tied at 57. A very high-scoring affair after the first quarter. The Suns leading 28-25, but now a defensive battle. Ellie for three. Unguarded, and Mario Ellie, again, broke his hand early in the year, thought this might be his swan song, playing few minutes to help tutor, if you will, a Penny Hardaway, but now still a vital cog for the Suns. Doug Christie getting lost and finding Chris Webber. Once was what lost is now found.
Totally turned around, had his back to the play, caught in the air, but Doug Christie able to hang up just long enough and dish that ball off to Chris Webber. I don't think he really saw him. He just felt him open in that area. And that's why I think Rick Adelman would like to see Chris Webber hang around that basket a little bit more for those little catches, three-point play opportunities, tip in.
Chris Webber with 18 after he misses the free throw. And you saw the expressiveness on the face of Doug Christie, and Rick Adelman telling us yesterday that no matter what happens with Doug at the offensive end or anywhere else, he's always playing so hard. Rogers stepping back and continuing his great production off the bench for the Phoenix Suns. Rogers in the first half led the way with 9 points. Mario Ellie taking a shot and will have to be replaced. Probably has a cut. Bennett Salvatore coming over and taking a look, and Tony Delk immediately into the game.
Tony Delk replacing Mario Ellie.
Mario Ellie getting some treatment along the sidelines because of the HIV precautions put into the rules several years ago, still being very careful.
He may have scratched himself to get a breather. He keeps asking Scott, Scott, I'm tired, I'm 37 years old. Scott says, no, you're not, stay in there.
Mario is a few months older than his head coach. Webber stepping inside on Gugliotta for the runner. Webber now with 20. Phoenix still leading by 1. 6 points in the quarter for Webber. Good play by Vlade Divac over the back of Tom Gugliotta as Phoenix now goes very, very small. Cliff Robinson on the bench. Delp, Rodney Rogers, Marion, Gugliotta out on the floor with Jason Kidd.
Well, Tom Gugliotta and Chris Webber banging away at each other. These two players were traded for one another way back when. Gugliotta from Washington going out to Golden State, and Chris Webber coming there. Not a good trade early for Washington as Chris Webber got hurt very early in that season.
That timeout taken by Tom Gugliotta. The ruling made that he was still in the court. That was a rule change some years ago that they took out of the NBA. So Tom Gugliotta must have been entirely still within the guidelines of the court. So Phoenix does get that timeout thanks to the hustle of Tom Gugliotta. But in the second half, the Phoenix Suns have found their offense and the lead once again. And Tom Gugliotta using his once sprinter's speed to save the day and call a timeout. But was it taken legitimately as we take another look? Tom Gugliotta inbounds, out of bounds, doesn't make the call, and this is what Vlade had to say to Bennett Salvatore.
1 foot in bounds. That's all you need.
Some discrepancy about the rules, but how did you see the play?
Well, both officials, Bennett Salvatore and Mike Mathis, saying he had 1 foot down. A very slow reaction by Mike Mathis to give the timeout signal. The thing I don't understand is how did Vlade Divac see it from 90 feet away from behind the play? I thought he was out of bounds, and it was very, very close. But the slow reaction by Mike Mathis on calling that timeout, I don't think he had enough control. He had 2 hands on the ball, but the ball shot probably should have gone to Sacramento.
I agree with you. I thought that Tom Gugliotta was in the court, fumbled with the ball a bit and couldn't signal for the timeout until he was completely out. But Vlade's been around a long time. He sees all.
Yeah, well, and here's all. I don't know how you can hear it. You don't necessarily have to signal for it. You can do it by voice. So even if Tom Gugliotta was hollering or yelling, which he probably was, I don't know how Mike Mathis could hear it.
Weber now with 22, and the Kings retake the lead 63-62, 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the third quarter. Marion with the step back. What a quick answer. Boy, and that's redundant. Anytime you say quick about Sean Marion, it just doesn't do it justice.
It's a funny-looking shot because that right elbow tends to fly out a little bit, but it's his shot, and he shoots a high percentage of it, so nobody will touch it.
Stojakovic looking for the foul. Instead, Phoenix turns over the Kings once again. Kidd, the nice step through, not close, gets his own offensive rebound. Oh, great play by Stojakovic getting in the passing lane. Loses his footing, and a travel is called, and we'll have to see Peja Stojakovic walking away, limping just a little bit, but that might have been a dangerous play.
Oh, just unbelievable transition defense this time by Sean Marion. Most players would never be able to get back and yet still make a good defensive play like this. Able to get his body in front. Clearly the legs went out from Peja Stojakovic, but I don't know if you necessarily call a walk on that play.
Rodney Rogers answering back, continues to produce off the bench, playing much like the Suns need him to play like he did last year when he was 6th man of the year, now with 13. Jason Williams gets stripped inside, the ball's loose, no shot clock reset, so Christie has to force up a long-range jump shot, and a foul is called. Will stay at the Sacramento end. The foul was called on Tom Gugliotta, his first personal foul. Scott Skiles very happy with the effort defensively and also offensively. His Phoenix Suns, not a good shooting basketball team, starting to knock down shots from inside and out and get out in transition.
Well, Scott Skiles knows that he needs.
And on the other side of the coin for the Detroit Red Wings, Shanahan came back.
5 men getting to the defensive board because this is when Sacramento has been able to hurt the Suns with their bigger players. Now Weber and Scott Pollard.
Now remember, tomorrow it's Weakest Link, the new game that's taken America by storm. Don't miss an all-new Weakest Link Monday at 8, 7 Central on NBC. And our hostess, if you will, Ann Robinson, you better bring your playoff level game when you go to Weakest Link, or else she's going to have you for lunch.
And don't look askance, or don't get anything wrong.
Don't ask me to spell askance, or I will have just failed my tryout. Free throws are missed, and the Phoenix Suns lead by 3. Approaching the 1-minute mark in the third quarter, Rodney Rogers has been huge off the bench and looking to continue it. That comes up a little bit long, and Chris Weber with the rebound.
The Suns are not really taking advantage of their 2-man plays, pick-and-roll opportunities, keeping the ball on the same side of the floor. Although, give the Kings credit, they are defending it very well.
Turkoglu and Bobby Jackson in now for Sacramento, along with Chris Weber and Doug Christie. Scott Pollard in the lane a long time. Long enough to catch the entry pass and throw down that nice little jump hook.
Now, the reason Scott Pollard was in the lane so long, no doubt anticipating that jump shot from Chris Weber, but Weber realizes now he's got an advantage against Tom Gugliotta coming back from that reconstructive knee surgery, so his lateral movement isn't what it once was. I think Weber knows and thinks he can take him off the dribble. He couldn't get all the way to the basket, but made the nice feed. Chris Weber's an outstanding passer.
Sacramento has missed their last free throws, but with that, Scott Pollard, a 75%er on the year, ties it up at 66. 40 seconds remaining in the quarter. Mario Ellie back in the game. Gugliotta thought about it. Shot clock at 5. Blocked from behind by Doug Christie. 1 second left on the shot clock, and wonderful rotation defense by Sacramento.
No weak links on the defensive end for the Sacramento Kings right now. This is about the strongest ball club they can put out there defensively, and this crowd knows it as well. They're getting behind them.
Catch and shoot opportunity, and rule did not get released. Surprisingly, a quick call on the 24-second violation. Boy, that was quick.
Quizzical looks on the face of Skiles on Jason Kidd, wanting an explanation from Monty McCutcheon. It appeared from our vantage point that Jason Kidd was able to catch and fire in time.
Last shot opportunity for the Sacramento Kings, tied at 66. Torpedo steps back. Long rebound controlled by the Phoenix Suns. And that will do it. Finally, that will do it. The Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings after 3. Sacramento had the better of it in the second quarter, but Phoenix, a strong offensive start, got them right back in. We'll be right back after these words from your local station. You're watching the NBA playoffs on NBC.
After the first few days of basic training, you realize your preconceptions were all wrong. You're ready to make the transition from civilian to soldier. You've seen your drill sergeants. They aren't so bad. Then you realize your training hasn't even started yet. Log on. Watch Basic begin.
Waiting on you.
Only at GoArmy.com.
The year was 1909. The United States military was beginning to expand into areas of exploration and aviation. In the frozen Arctic, Navy Commander Robert Peary's expedition reached the North Pole on the 3rd attempt. Back in the States, the Wright brothers delivered the Army's first airplane. Its test flight set a 2-man record, flying for more than an hour. Later that year, Lieutenant Frank Humphreys performed the Army's first solo flight for 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Also in 1909, plans were begun to build a naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Congress, meanwhile, was preoccupied with the Marine Corps. It passed legislation that stipulated that the Corps would receive no funds unless Marines continued to serve aboard Navy ships. All part of serving our country in 1909.
Next time on Survivor. Surprise guest visits the remaining survivors.
Welcome to Bear Messy!
Survivor, Australian Outback, 7 p.m. AFN Friday.
You know, I have to say that some of my favorite Jeopardy moments are when we play host to kids and teenagers. Most of them weren't even around when I started hosting Jeopardy. You really make me feel inadequate.
Sorry about that.
And that hurts.
On the timeline, I'm Army Sergeant Mark Parr. On April 23, 1898, President William McKinley called for 125,000 volunteers to fight in a war against Spain. On this day in 1908, the Army Reserve was officially established. On April 23, 1914, after a series of arguments between diplomats, Army and Marine Corps troops were...
has improved this season. Their superstar and foundation is still Chris Webber. And he is where he was the first 2 years in Sacramento in a game in the first round. And we spoke to him earlier about getting out of the first round and what it would mean to he and his Kings teammates.
In a way, I think we've been satisfied with being able to take great teams to Game 5. We lost to Utah in 5 games. Everybody in Sacramento was happy. And when we lost to the Lakers in 5 games, everybody was happy as if we had done something. And so that kind of worries me with the fact that we really didn't accomplish anything except take teams 5 games. So hopefully we have a mentality that you really don't do anything and the season's a waste if you don't get out of the first round of the playoffs.
Chris Webber and everybody on the Sacramento Kings team realizes that they are the hunted now with the home court advantage for the first time. But, you know, it's a lot different. The only King that's been in this position before Vlade Divac's way back in '91 in his rookie year with Magic Johnson and the Lakers. So he's trying to tell everybody what that's all about. It's a lot different when you're a lower seed team with low expectations.
Googly out of the tough shot, forced that one a little bit. Good rebound taken by Bobby Jackson with some help from Scott Pollard. Turkoglu, Jackson, Christie, Weber, and Pollard start the fourth and final quarter for Sacramento. Create some space, spins it up, doesn't get it. Pollard keeps the ball alive, and to no avail. Chris Weber is now 10 for 23 from the floor. 6 rebounds, excuse me, Matt, but 5 turnovers to go with the other pretty gaudy totals.
Paul is saying that Rick Adelman is staying with his defensive unit right now, see if they can't create some misses, some turnovers, see if they can't get out and run, get this crowd really going.
Rodney Rogers taking the ball into the lane, and speaking of activity, Scott Pollard already a couple of taps to keep the ball alive, and now against the very, very strong Rodney Rogers, steps in and takes the charge. Rogers with 4 fouls.
But the difference at the other end right now with this defensive ball club out there, the main scoring threat is Chris Weber anyway. They almost exclusively have to get him involved just about every half-court opportunity.
Good play by Gugliotta. Looks like he traveled along the baseline, and good call by Mike Mathis. In better position this time.
Well, right on top of him, right under his nose, and Tom Gugliotta, quick, strong hands, able to knock the ball loose and come up with it, but to regain his balance, changed his pivot foot, and clearly the walking violation. Tom Gugliotta continues to struggle with that knee injury, but still the Suns feel he can make a valuable contribution because of his experience.
Chris Weber taking his signature shot, at least on the perimeter, if you will, 18 feet from the left elbow, facing the basket, but comes up empty. Turkoglu to Pollard inside, spins it up, misses. Weber with the finish. Some would think that should be Chris Weber's signature shot.
It's certainly high percentage, and he can certainly do things off the ball, which I think Rick Adelman would like to see him do more of. He doesn't necessarily have to get the ball and try to make his own play every time.
Turkoglu being very aggressive with the basketball, loses control, hits up under the basket support. The ball was not touched, at least for now, by the Phoenix Suns, and Sacramento will inbound.
Well, the confidence and maturity of Hedo Turkoglu kind of surprises everybody. He will not back down, certainly not playing like a rookie. Not all that effective, but constantly looking for a shot as Bobby Jackson knocks them down.
A game of momentum. Phoenix had it in the third quarter as they tied this game back up, and right away the Arco crowd on their feet, and the Sacramento Kings have gone out, albeit by just a little, up 70 to 66.
On the timeline, I'm Army Sergeant Mark Parr. On April 23, 1898, President William McKinley called for 125,000 volunteers to fight in a war against Spain. On this day in 1908, the Army Reserve was officially established. On April 23, 1914, after a series of arguments between diplomats, Army and Marine Corps troops were making a show of force at Veracruz, Mexico. On this day in 1934, more than 100 U.S. Navy ships moved through the Panama Canal. On April 23, 1956, the Air Force received its first operational C-141 Starlifter. On this day in 1993, the Defense Department Inspector General released a detailed report on alleged indecent assaults at the Tailhook Association Convention in Las Vegas 2 years earlier. And that's today's timeline.
Welcome aboard Card 602, traveling to Lavinia via the Borkachev countryside. For your safety, please note the emergency exits of this car. The meal today consists of tasty beet borscht, homemade by my wife. For your entertainment, music is provided.
Return flights aren't always available when you're flying Space A, so be sure to have a backup plan. If you don't, you may have to travel by whatever means available.
In
1906, an Arkansas farmer named John Huddleston was having trouble growing crops on his land. When he looked closely at the soil, he saw 2 crystals. Huddleston asked a jeweler in town what the crystals were, and the jeweler said, diamonds. A small diamond rush followed, and he sold his farm to a mining company. The mine produced diamonds for several years, mostly of industrial quality, but a few were valuable gems. The largest was the Uncle Sam diamond, which weighed more than 40 carats. The site is the crater of Diamond State Park. For a small fee, visitors can dig for diamonds and keep whatever they find. About 1,000 are found each year. Murfreesboro, Arkansas, the only place diamonds were ever mined in the United States.
The ball, and good things happen when he gets himself around the basket. Terrific follow-up dunk there. And then the next time down the floor, Bobby Jackson, who can put up some points himself, working hard on that baseline, ducking inside Tony Delk, the former Sacramento King, to knock down a big field goal. As Sarah Jackson down in North Carolina, Bobby's biggest fan, don't you know, talks to him constantly. Her main advice to Bobby, tell Chris Webber to go close to the basket. Good advice, Sarah.
He did, and her son followed it right up, and the 7-0 run continues for Sacramento. Tied at 66 after 3, and the Sacramento Kings lead it by 4. Gugliotta, Marion, Kidd, Robinson, and Ellie on the floor now for the Phoenix Suns. Jackson taking it against Jason Kidd. Good rebound on the weak side by Mario Ellie. Gugliotta on the baseline with a 15-footer, and that ends a run of Phoenix missing 6 straight shots.
The Suns have had a major advantage in fast break plays, and that's because of the presence of Jason Kidd, who generally makes good decisions when that floor is open.
Weber now against Robinson. The jump hook over the shoulder. He's taken at least 8 or 10 of those this afternoon, making several. The outside shot from the elbow is the one that's let him down. Christie still dogging Jason Kidd. Steps back, a 2-man game with Cliff Robinson, and you've said it, Matt. You would think that the Suns can get a much better look than that.
And a lot of these shots have surprised Sean Marion, an outstanding offensive rebounder. He's over on the weak side, and he's kind of standing flat-footed, not realizing that the shot is going to go up when it does.
Sean Marion, 13 points in the first half. Quiet in the third quarter with only 4. Ball deflected away into the hands of Ellie to Jason Kidd. Taking it all the way to the basket, gets the roll, it comes off. Boy, that was in and out and back in and then rolled off somehow. Turkoglu back to Weber. Another layup missed. The Phoenix Suns, Jason Kidd thought about it, thought better of it, and Cliff Robinson said, why not? Buries the triple for the Phoenix Suns, who recapture the lead by 1.
Cliff Robinson made his first 3-pointer of the game. It was a long drought for 3-pointers for the Suns after that. That's been a problem for them all season long, especially with Rodney Rogers not coming up to where he was last year.
Another turnover for the Sacramento Kings. They've been turning it over nearly 20 times a game. Quick pull-up jump shot. Jason Kidd with Scott Pollard. Ellie can't make the first try and the second, screaming at the official for the foul. Turkoglu with the runner. Another layup missed. That was a difficult chance. Easy play to call. Pollard over the top, fouling Tom Gugliotta. Boy, that was an incredible stretch of 3 or 4 minutes and just end-to-end with nothing happening except Gugliotta and then Cliff Robinson making shots.
And there's a lot of tired puppy dogs out there right now. You look out on the floor, people holding their shorts down around their thighs, a clear sign holding their hips. And when you go up and down the floor and come up empty, that makes you even more fatigued. Both teams trying to do things too much on the run instead of making sure they catch the ball first, take their time, and they make a strong finish.
High arcing shot by Tom Gugliotta. Vlade Divac back in the game along with Peja Stojakovic. They have just returned to the Sacramento Kings, joining Bobby Jackson, Chris Webber, and Doug Christie. The starters minus Jason Williams. Divac working down inside, lots of contact, A foul is called on the outside, and Vlade Divac will get to the free throw line to shoot 2.
That's a typical play by Vlade Divac in the post. And more this season, especially since the ankle injuries to Chris Webber, he has been the go-to guy coming down the stretch of games because most teams double team. He's an exceptional passer, and he uses his legs and arms very well to draw those fouls.
Vlade Divac now 6 of 8 from the free throw line. Now coming up next in the nightcap of our NBA playoff triple header, Shaquille O'Neal and the Lakers begin their quest to defend their championship as they take on Rasheed Wallace and the Portland Trail Blazers. A matchup of the Western Conference Finals last year. That's the Blazers versus the Lakers next here on ABC. One would argue that the Lakers maybe could win that series easily, but Portland has struggled against everybody seemingly except the Lakers.
2.5, 3 weeks ago, I thought that was going to be the 5-4 matchup. Well, now it's the 2-7, and the Lakers playing their best basketball as Shaquille O'Neal has really come on big time. 11 straight games of 30-plus points for Shaquille O'Neal. The Lakers finish the regular season as the hottest team in the NBA, winning 8 straight. Marion with the bucket. Phoenix back on top by 1. Divac, good offensive rebound. Loses the handle. Jason Kidd on the run out with numbers. Marion, good smart foul by Doug Christie because Sean Marion was going to throw that one down with some gusto. Well, Vlade Divac getting a little too cute there, putting the ball on the floor. Got knocked down hard. Evidently did take a shot in the eye, but opened up a 4-on-1 fast break. I thought Jason Kidd maybe gave the ball up a little bit too soon. Smart defensive play by Doug Christie.
We'll check on Vlade when we come back. Sean Marion at the free throw line to shoot 2. Has 19 points. As quick as ever, right in the face of Peja Stojakovic.
Vlade Divac putting the ball on the floor, converging the Phoenix Suns, sensing now they're not necessarily double teaming, waiting for the ball to be put on the floor, coming down and digging it out.
You're watching the NBA playoffs on NBC. Vlade, you watching?
Each nation has its own set of laws. As an American service member, DoD civilian employee, or family member living overseas, your legal status and legal rights are defined by a Status of Forces Agreement, or SOFA. And those SOFAs will vary from country to country. They all serve a common purpose: to help clarify your legal rights wherever you're assigned. Should you have questions, contact your legal office.
Building a home like this one, all by yourself, would be a major accomplishment. Now, imagine building this home with your eyes closed the entire time. Francis A. Burdett, a jeweler by trade, lost all vision when he was 50. When he was 63, he began building his own home. He did the figuring mentally, keeping track of all the plans and specifications. He carefully placed his tools and materials so he would always know where they were, and seemed to work as effortlessly at the end of a long ladder as he did on the ground. The average person who looked in on the building process thought surely he could see. After 2.5 years, Burdett finished his home, which still stands to this day, a monument to perseverance and patience. Francis Burdett, the only blind man to single-handedly build his own home.
Last week's meeting against the Lakers as they look to Game 1 of this best-of-5 series. The Lakers have been the hottest team of the NBA, finishing the regular season with 8 straight wins. Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal getting ready for this rematch of last season's Western Conference Final Series. Marv Albert with Doug Collins will have it for you following Sacramento and Phoenix. Now back to Paul.
All right, Marv, thank you very much. That indeed will be a great series, and we're off to a good start here. Fran Charles has more from the Sacramento sideline. Fran?
All right, Paul, Ricky Adelman telling this club, let's get back to what our game plan was from the beginning. Let's get Vlade and Chris down low. Let's work the ball inside. And also telling his team, get back in transition defense. The Suns have been hurting him on the run all day long. Paul?
Free throws are good by Sean Marion, and no question about the message. It was the same yesterday. It's probably been the same throughout, but Rick Adelman not getting the execution that he would expect.
Well, it's always easy to say get back on defense. Everybody knows that, but if you're going to turn the ball over on the high part of the floor, it's almost impossible to get back, especially if Jason Kidd has his hand on the floor. The quick wing players, in particular Sean Marion, are running so well.
3 on the shot clock. Doug Christie having to force one inside. Rebound taken by Stojakovic, blocked from behind by Marion. Bobby Jackson taking it baseline into traffic. Weber there for the follow, bounces in. And Bobby Jackson off the floor at just over 6 feet tall finishes the play.
Well, the small lineup in for the Phoenix Suns right now, nothing unusual there. That's the way they usually finish ball games, but the height, size, jumping ability of Chris Weber and Vlade Divac taking care of business.
Jason Kidd into the lane, kicks it out to Cliff Robinson. That three-point attempt well long and nobody there on the offensive glass. Christie controls easily for Sacramento. Screen inside, awkward looking play, and Chris Weber can't find the range from outside 7 or 8 feet, looking for a foul, not getting any in this situation, certainly.
Well, kind of Chris Weber is getting it in no man's land. He's not deep in the post. He's not out of his favorite spot on the floor as Jason Kidd knocks down a much-needed jump shot for the Phoenix Suns to take a 3-point lead. The guy that could be the most dangerous for Sacramento right now, even though he's having a poor shooting game, Peja Stojakovic at 16. Marion doing a great job on him. Always dangerous when on the floor from anywhere.
Powering the ball down inside to Vlade Divac with a step back. The tip not there. Once no, twice yes for Chris Weber. Camped right at the front of the rim.
And to compound the problem, Peja Stojakovic is being so closely guarded by Sean Marion as he does. He's their best rebounder, and he's not able to get it around the basket. That's why the Sacramento Kings are having a field day. They're getting second shot opportunities.
Rodney Rogers had his foot on the line. A 2-point make for Rogers, who continues to sparkle off the bench with 17 for the Phoenix Suns. The lead is back up to 3. Very physical play down in the low post. Vlade throwing one up and then landing on the seat of his pants. Bobby Jackson with a near impossible steal. Vlade Divac taking the ball in the lane. And again, after the rebound, a dangerous kick out.
Bobby Jackson taking it hard, but just the relentless offensive rebounding by the bigger Sacramento Kings team. And then little Bobby Jackson's the one who sneaks in there because everybody's going for the ball. Nobody can get a body on anybody.
Look inside to Cliff Robinson against Chris Weber, the basket and the foul. Good half-court offense the last 2 or 3 trips for Phoenix. What's Jason Kidd doing with that set against Rick Adelman's Kings?
Well, again, Jason Kidd always a threat. Pick and roll situations, always a threat to take his man off the dribble. As Cliff Robinson and these other players reading where to be. All you got to do is get open, look for a seam, make a cut at the right time. Jason Kidd will deliver.
With the made free throw, Robinson completes the 3-point play. He has 16 total. But more importantly, with 3:30 remaining in this game, the lead for Phoenix is 6. Bobby Jackson around the screen all the way to the basket. Vlade Divac over the back of Mario Ellie. Not a call that a 7-1 player usually gets against a smaller guard.
Well, Bobby Jackson was trying to be forced down by Jason Kidd on that pick and roll situation, but the toughness, strength of Jackson able to get over that pick, and when you do that, get in the lane, you can create open shots. And right now, the Suns are having to try to rebound without their best one, Sean Marion, as he is out hugged up on Peja Stojakovic. Where you got to be?
Second team foul on Divac, but more importantly, the make again from Rodney Rogers. Count that as a 3. Rogers now with 18. Small ball. Scott Skiles said the way this unit plays will decide how the series goes, and it is going very well right now for the Phoenix Suns. They go out on a big run to lead here by 9, thanks to Rodney Rogers, who continues to light it up from outside the arc off the bench for Phoenix.
AFN primetime tonight after 60 minutes.
I am not your maid.
The Angels help cut the apron strings between a mother and son.
I am your mother.
On Touched by an Angel, then.
You're a drinker, aren't you, Detective Doakes?
Objection. The firm fights to free a murderer.
My client's looking at a death penalty based on the shoddy work of a lazy drunk.
On The Practice, an evening of drama. AFN primetime tonight.
Working late again? Fine. Well, you'll just have to fix your own dinner. Bye. Danny! Get that book bag off the counter! I need to go to the store, and you need to watch your little brother. And when I get back, I expect your homework to be done. Whatever you say, Mom!
Emotional or physical abuse in the home breeds anger and can damage family relationships. Remove the abuse, and the picture is different.
Don't worry. I'll fix your plate and keep it in the oven for you. All right. Bye-bye. Your dad has to work late, and I've got to go to the store. Would you watch your little brother while I'm gone? Sure, I will. Thanks, sweetie. And how about getting that book bag off the counter? Okay.
Remember, what you say and do affects your family's well-being. Get it right the first time, because in real life, you rarely get a second chance.
Silenced by the visiting Phoenix Suns, now leading by 9, thanks to an 8-0 run in large part to Rodney Rogers. And again, you go back to that team meeting, Matt, when Cliff Robinson in particular said, we need you, we love you, you've got to play. And boy, his timing's been perfect.
One of the questions coming into the series, who'd have the advantage, the bigger front line of Divac and Weber, or the smaller guys, and I say smaller advisedly, Rogers and Robinson, and it's been Rogers, and it's been an ebb and flow throughout this game, but clearly Rogers and Robinson doing the job here offensively in the fourth quarter and working hard inside.
And Cliff Robinson making Chris Weber work very hard for everything he gets. 4th personal foul on Cliff Robinson, only the 2nd team foul for the Phoenix Suns, whereas the Kings now with 4.
Normally Rick Adelman will go 4th quarters with Bobby Jackson. This is mainly because we're ahead in games and I try to get my best defensive team out there. They obviously need some offense right now, so it'll be Jason Williams out there, who's always a threat with the three-pointer, or else he'll come down, make a hard move, look for Peja Stojakovic on the perimeter, or look for Weber inside.
Weber now with 27, makes 1 of 2, but it's been a struggle at the free throw line. Only 13 of 19 for the Sacramento Kings, usually much more reliable from the line. The 5th best free throw shooting team in the league. Rogers taking Turkoglu down deep on the block. 5 on the shot clock. Jason Kidd has to force the long-range 3, and Chris Weber with those huge soft hands snares the rebound. The Sacramento Kings have been a wonderful playoff team. They're trailed by 8. 9 times throughout the course of this season as Doug Christie hits the floor hard. They have come back from deficits of 10 points or more. And remember, the Phoenix Suns led this same Sacramento Kings team by 28, albeit in the second quarter. I know time and score is a bit of a factor here, but the Kings have been a superb comeback team.
They've got that capability because of the three-point shot and because there's a turnover forced by Phoenix.
Very careless play once again by Sacramento. Sacramento 19 turnovers, leading to 19 points for the Phoenix Suns.
Rick Adelman curiously going with Turkoglu down the stretch here. He's having a terrible offensive game, 0 for 5, but has a lot of confidence in that he can get some offense going.
Jason Williams stumbles just a bit. 1:30 left in the basketball game. The Phoenix Suns leading 85-77. Jason Williams all the way to the rim. Timeout immediately taken by the Phoenix Suns. Scott Skiles not liking the lack of defensive rotation. Jason taking on Jason, and the younger getting the better of it right here.
Jason Kidd worried about the three-point capability of Jason Williams, getting up on him. Jason Williams taking advantage.
Welcome aboard car 602, traveling to Lavinia via the Borkachev countryside. For your safety, please note the emergency exits of this car. The meal today consists of tasty beet borscht, homemade by my wife. For your entertainment, music is provided.
Return flights aren't always available when you're flying Space A, so be sure to have a backup plan. If you don't, you may have to travel by whatever means available.
In 1906, an Arkansas farmer named John Huddleston was having trouble growing crops on his land. When he looked closely at the soil, he saw 2 crystals. Huddleston asked a jeweler in town what the crystals were, and the jeweler said, diamonds. A small diamond rush followed, and he sold his farm to a mining company. The mine produced diamonds for several years, mostly of industrial quality, but a few were valuable gems. The largest was the Uncle Sam diamond, which weighed more than 40 carats. The site is the Crater of Diamonds State Park. For a small fee, visitors can dig for diamonds and keep whatever they find. About 1,000 are found each year. Murfreesboro, Arkansas, the only place diamonds were ever mined in the United States.
And Fran Charles, the Phoenix Suns, a tremendous fourth quarter. Lead currently by 6. We reset things. Full timeouts, 1 apiece. The same with 20, and also a foul to give. Jason Kidd running a lot of two-man game with Rodney Rogers. Their half-court offense has been much better, quite frankly, than Sacramento's in crunch time.
Sacramento has had a lot of good opportunities, but they are rushing their shots inside. Chris Webber got 27 points, 15 rebounds, but he's taken 32 shots to do it.
Rogers down inside against Webber, snares the rebound. And a foul on Rodney Rogers, and that is the 4th team foul against the Phoenix Suns, so no free throws will be shot as yet. The 5th personal foul on Rodney Rogers, who's certainly been one of the stars for the Phoenix Suns. Send it over to Fran Charles. Fran.
All right, Paul, during that last timeout, Phoenix Suns head coach Scott Skiles emphasizing rebound. He said all we need to do is grab 1 rebound and the game is over as we approach under a minute to go. Paul?
Thank you, Fran. Stojakovic steps inside, been very quiet for his kind of game. Up once, up twice, and Peja Stojakovic will get to the free throw line. We're inside of a minute, so this is exactly what the Phoenix Suns did not want. Points available with no time running off the clock.
Well, all afternoon long, Peja Stojakovic has been stifled by tremendous defense by Sean Marion. Shooting the 5 for 17 from the field. Nevertheless, he's still dangerous out there. Scott Skiles, I'm sure, during that last time out, telling Marion, do not leave him on the perimeter. Hug up on him. Do not give him a look at a three.
Talked about Chris Webber feeling the pressure, but so much Peja Stojakovic starting his first ever playoff game, and so much more expected after the wonderful season he's had. Phoenix's lead is 4, 85-81. 40 seconds to go in the basketball game. 5 on the shot clock. Christie with the steal. With the finish against Cliff Robinson, and the lead is 2. Doug Christie, third in the NBA in steals. 7-0 run for the Sacramento Kings. 17 on the game clock, 10 on the shot clock. Robinson again. Jason Kidd comes away with the rebound and is fouled. Offensive rebounds were the story and have been the curse, if you will, for the Sacramento Kings, playing the Phoenix Suns, averaging 16 offensive rebounds a game, and Jason Kidd comes up with a huge carry.
That's a typical Jason Kidd play, not having the best of shooting days. 7 for 19 from the field. He does have 14 assists, but he knows that long jump shots mean long rebounds, and he was just quicker than everybody, and there's that little kiss to his son, TJ, and White Cunana, and a major miss there with 10.9 to go.
A chance, if he converts both free throws, to make it a 2-possession game. Now the best Jason Kidd can do is get the 3-point lead, but that would give Peja Stojakovic a big opportunity. Kidd an 81% free throw shooter on the year. The Suns are only 8 for 15 from the free throw line on the afternoon. It's a 3-point game, and Sacramento will use their last full timeout. A 7-1 run now with a conversion of the free throw by Jason Kidd. But it was the steal, and it's been the defensive story and effort of Doug Christie that has turned this team and now this game around.
Oh, he used number 3 in the NBA in that department. Those long arms, very valuable, and the quick strike at the other end. It's a 3-point game. Favor Phoenix.
You've probably heard of the California gold rush, but did you know there was a copper rush in Arizona in the late 1800s? Mineral claims of the late 1870s turned up huge copper deposits in southeastern Arizona. The emerging electrical industry provided a thriving market for copper, and developers sank many shafts into the area. People came from everywhere to work the mines. They built small towns near the shaft entrances, many of which had to be moved a distance away when the mining operation expanded. In 1950, a mining company began digging a huge open-pit mine, removing 380 million tons of ore and rock before closing in 1974. The pit itself is 1.25 miles long, 3/4 of a mile wide, and 900 feet deep. The town of Bisbee, named for the owner of one of the original mines, still rests on the northwest rim of the pit. While its origins date from the first days of the copper rush, today Bisbee is a center of art and tourism and one of the custodians of the history of America's copper mining industry.
the season series to the Sacramento Kings 3-1, but they did win that last meeting. A nail-biter, 88-86. You see the reset. Phoenix with a full and a 20. Sacramento with a 20. Three-point differential. Where does Sacramento go and how?
Well, they'd like to go to Stojakovic somehow. Jason Williams will try to get his hands on the ball. He'll probably try to launch, but if this gets down to about 4-3-2 seconds, I would look for the Phoenix Suns to commit a foul. Make Sacramento take the 2 free throws and not even give a look at a 3-point shot.
Doug Christie forced to call a timeout, and the only available timeout left was a 20 for the Sacramento Kings. And with that, we'll take a quick break. Strategy sessions at both ends of Arco Arena. Everybody sitting on their hands. Phoenix Suns leading by 3. 10.9 seconds remaining. Doug Christie still looking to inbound.
And with no timeouts left for Sacramento, it's not like they can take a 2 and take a chance there because they may never get the ball back. And they got to look for the 3 there. Wild shot by Williams.
Phoenix has come to Sacramento. Is going to take game 1. The Sacramento Kings end up shooting 4 for 11 from behind the arc. 3 of those makes in the first half. Jason Kidd, particularly Rodney Rogers, Cliff Robinson, a wonderful job defensively, has come in and I think, honest to say, shocked Sacramento.
So you say you want home court advantage in the first round of a 5-game series. It has not been very friendly to the top seed so far.
The Sacramento Kings were tied with San Antonio for the best home record in the NBA. All of that is now washed away. They have just lost home court advantage. Fran Charles is with, I'm sure, a very happy Jason Kidd.
All right, Paul. Jason, tell me about the last play. I saw you on Pedro Stojakovic.
Well, we didn't want him to get the ball. We know that he's very dangerous in these situations, and we like to go to him. I wasn't going to let him get it.
You guys are 20-1 in the regular season when you hold opponents to under 40%. They shot about 35% today. How'd you shut them down?
Well, I think, your first game, everybody is anxious to get the playoffs started. Teams had a long rest, so we expect them to come out and have a better game in game 2. But we played hard tonight, and we got to continue to keep playing hard if we want to win.
All right, Jason Kidd, congratulations and good luck.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Paul.
Thank you, Fran, and congratulations to Jason Kidd and the Phoenix Suns. And one note, in 5-game series in playoff history in the NBA, the team that won game 1 has come away successfully 84% of the time, and it came down to this. Jason Williams loves the 3, but not this one. Once again, the final score, 86-83. Now let's send it to Los Angeles and Marv Albert.
Thank you very much, Paul. Capacity crowd, better than 18,000 here at Staples Center in downtown LA. As we get ready for game 1 of the best-of-5 Western Conference Series between the Portland